much for everybody showing up. We are a meeting of minds. Now we are a non-profit. Everybody who was here last month knows. And people that weren't, we are a non-profit, so hopefully big things to come in our community. Support group and resource portal. So if you have any questions, you know where to send them, and hopefully we'll be able to get an answer for you. And if we can't get the answer, we will set you up with someone that can. We're so happy that y'all came out tonight.
Hi, I'm Kim Keller, and I want to really thank you guys for taking the time to be here in person. We all know how hard it can be to get away. We know that you had to set up childcare, that you had to make arrangements, maybe go straight from work to be here. We're so glad that you're able to be here. For those of us on Facebook Live, we are so glad that you are tuning in and can be part of this as well.
Hello, I'm Gina Foster, and as they said, thanks to everybody who took the time, the special time to come out and let us see your faces. And those that can't be here with us tonight, then we appreciate you being with us live on Facebook. What I wanted to share with you this evening very quickly before we get to our speaker is that Friday, several of us here got to go to Little Rock to a convention presented by the PAC committee in the PAC team in Little Rock, and that's Parents Advisory Council. And it's called the Bistro, and it was their 5th annual Bistro meeting. And what that is full of information. They have guest speakers who came, shared tons of information with us, and it was just a wealth of knowledge that we gained. And our goal is to take that and to share with you guys over on the table before you leave. If there's a couple of things, 2, 3, 4 things we have laying out there that, you know, if it looks like something that would be of interest that may help you guys, then pick one up. Next meeting, because it was so close to turnaround time, we didn't have time to pull it all together, but the next meeting when you come, we hope to have a lot more handouts and different things that they gave us that you can take home with you and hopefully be of some good use to you. Next year they'll be back, and I encourage everybody to pay attention, and when you see the Bistro family and the little chef man, you pay attention to how to sign up and how to be there next year. You don't want to miss it.
Hi, my name is Shannon Brown, and I guess it's my turn to share a little bit of my story. I have a 15-year-old daughter who was diagnosed with autism when she was 7. And I'm finding that my journey is different from these guys, just because they have boys and I have a girl. Some of the symptoms are the same, but it's a completely different journey. One that I'm thankful for that I'm on, because I believe that she's made me a better person, and I'm sure she's watching this, so shout out to Kaylee. But I am super excited for our guest speaker tonight, because my daughter is going to be going into the workforce and pretty soon, and so I know that I have a lot of questions about SSI, SSDI, you know, how much she can make, how many hours she can work without it affecting. So I am super excited that tonight we have Shannon Long with us, and she is the Community Work Incentive Coordinator with Project AWIN, and we can't wait to listen to her presentation and just fill our brains with all the knowledge she wants to share. And on the tables there are index cards, so if you have a question during the presentation, please feel free to write down your question, and at the end we will have a question and answer session where hopefully we get all the answers we need and we leave feeling empowered.
And one more thing, talking about questions, for you guys on Facebook Live, if you have a question specifically for Shannon that you don't get the answer to by the time she's done with her presentation, just type it in there. I will make sure that we will get your question answered with Shannon. It may not be right at this time tonight, but if you'll just put the question out there, we'll get you an answer.
All right, welcome Shannon.
Yay.
Okay, well, I'm Shannon Long, just to introduce myself again, and I'm with Project AWIN, Project Arkansas Work Incentives Network. It's what AWIN stands for. We are the WIPA program in the state of Arkansas. So WIPA is Work Incentives Planning and Assistance Program. I work for a nonprofit for Sources, for Community Independent Living Services. I know this is a lot of names, but I just kind of want you to be familiar with who we are. So we work off a grant through Social Security, and our grant is received through the nonprofit sources, which is my employer. With Social Security, there's a WIPA program in every state in America, and the WIPA program in Arkansas is Project AWIN. There are, I want to say 4 coordinators in the state. There's 3. One of them recently retired. I do have some pamphlets on the table. We've got to get new pamphlets redone because I got married in October.
Yay.
So my last name's Long. In the pamphlet, it's Cleveland. So Shannon Cleveland, Shannon Long. We're one and the same, but the contact information is the same. So the numbers are still relevant. So, well, there you go. So what I want to go over is, because we're the Work Incentives Planning and Assistance Program, we are here to encourage people who are on SSI and SSDI who want to work and have questions about work that they can work. There are work incentives built in through Social Security that encourage them to go to work without losing all of their benefits, which is the biggest concern for parents and people with disabilities alike. So Social Security gives 2 different payments for an individual who is disabled. One of them is SSI, Supplemental Security Income, and the other one is SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance. The difference between these two is SSI is for individuals who have low income and resources and who don't have a work history. So people who are drawing disability have worked throughout their lifetime and they've paid those FICA taxes, where it says FICA on your pay stubs. That money is going towards an insurance fund for when you become disabled, when you retire. You're entitling yourself, and you're paying into the credits in case something does happen to you one day, or when you do want to retire. So individuals who don't have a work history are individuals who get SSI, which are oftentimes younger individuals. So, which probably is more of this age population that we're dealing with. So I'll go through the different work incentives one at a time, starting with SSI, since I think that's the one most relevant to this age group. Excuse me, this is my water. So when my mouth gets dry, I've had a lot of people ask me, is that oxygen? And so of course it's not. And I had someone cleverly say, well, you know, it is part oxygen. So, you know what? I think that's going to be my answer next time. So, anyways. Now, when someone is receiving SSI, and again, our program helps individuals who are already on SSI and SSDI benefits. So, ages 14 through 65 is the age group we help who are already currently on these benefits. So, you know, we can give information on how to get on these benefits by referring them to Social Security, but you know, kind of getting on is not really our expertise. We're just focusing on the work incentives for people who are interested in working. When someone's on SSI and they do go to work, since SSI is a means-tested program, which means that any income coming into the household will impact it in some form or fashion. So, kind of to start off with this age population who might be not on SSI yet, when someone is below the age of 18, a parent's income and resources does count against the SSI benefit. So parents who make a lot of money oftentimes will not qualify for SSI for their child. Parents that don't make a lot of money might get some in SSI, but it might be reduced because of the parent's income. But when a child turns 18, they're an adult. So they're their own being, and all the income in their household and what they bring in count. The parent's income and resources no longer count. So when a child turns 18, it's often encouraged that the parent go ahead and apply for SSI at that time, since their income won't count anymore. Now when it comes to someone already being on SSI, if they're interested in working, so when someone's working on SSI, there's a lot of different work incentives, but we'll just start kind of with the basic calculation. Social Security applies 2 different exclusions. There's a $20 general income exclusion to the total gross earnings that someone receives in a month. Then there's a $65 earned income exclusion that someone receives to their gross income. So right off the top, Social Security is going to ignore the first $85 of work earnings. So, and then after that, for every $2 a person earns, there's a $1 reduction in the cash benefit itself. So I always, whenever I'm on the phone, I give a simple example. Let's say someone goes to work and they get a part-time job, making $685 a month. That's about minimum wage, 20 hours a week. I think I rounded it either up or down just to make simple math. So when Social Security looks and sees they're making $685 a month, what they do is, again, they ignore that first $85 like it doesn't exist. So we can take 85 right off the top, subtract 85 from that. So what's left over is 600. So since for every $2 a person earns, there's a $1 reduction, we just divide the rest in half. So of the 600, only $300 of the $685 total will be counted against the SSI payment. So the full federal benefit rate for this year is $750 a month. So if we were to subtract 300 from that, someone would get $450 a month on the first of each month. And a lot of people say, oh no, I don't want to work now. You know, my SSI is being cut. But what we want people to understand is, yes, it is. You're going to get less on the first, but you're getting $685 throughout the rest of the month. Whereas before, you didn't get anything throughout the rest of the month. So you're coming out money ahead. You're making over $1,000 a month now instead of just $750. So now there is a break-even point when someone works to a point when their SSI is $0, and I believe it's $1,550 a month. So that would be the point. You do $750 times 2 at 85. It's around that area. So when someone exceeds that, that means they're no longer going to be drawing an SSI payment. So a lot of people think that if they lose their SSI, they're going to lose the Medicaid that goes along with it. That's incorrect as well. So when someone loses their SSI payment due to work earnings and no other reason, they still get to retain their Medicaid. They're still in Social Security's system as being eligible for SSI. So nothing's changed. They're just in a non-pay status. They're still eligible for SSI and the benefits that go along with it, including Medicaid. Now that is up to an annual exclusion. So for this year, it's $29,877 a year. So someone would have to earn almost $30,000 before they would lose their SSI. So that's a pretty good work incentive to encourage someone to go out and say, yes, I can do this and still keep my Medicaid. Now there's another really great work incentive called the Student Earned Income Exclusion, which might also help this age group. So the Student Earned Income Exclusion is a work incentive for students below the age of 22 that are in school or are enrolled in school and who are working. Now Social Security will exclude up to $1,820 a month of their work earnings. So that's huge. Now that is up to an annual exclusion of $7,000 and change. I don't know that exact number, but not many students are going to be going out there making $1,800 a month. So when a student goes to work, when they're in school and they're working, as long as they're below 1820, their SSI is not going to be impacted at all. And how many students are going to be working a full-time job and going to school at the same time, unless they've got a really great employer who's giving them lots of hourly pay. So, you know, that's a really powerful work incentive for individuals who, again, are below the age of 22. So if they're in school, if they're in high school, this also includes individuals who are in a work training program for at least 12 hours a week. So their SSI won't be impacted at all. There's a program in the state of Arkansas called the Promise Program. So they have a lot of kids out there working right now. and we've been doing the benefits counseling for them and helping them to report their earnings. Because when you're on SSI, you've got to report each month what you're earning. So that Social Security can be doing that calculation, because if you imagine if your earnings change each month, that calculation changes each month as well. So your SSI will fluctuate if your earnings fluctuate. Well, we've got a lot of youth out there working that are getting to use the student earned income exclusion, that are, you know, living at home with their parents, who are receiving that SSI for food and shelter cost, and their SSI is not being impacted, and these kids are going home with some take-home money during the summer. So, so that's, you know, really empowering for someone young to try to get them into the workforce, you know, at a young age. There is another work incentive called the impairment-related work expenses. So if someone has out-of-pocket medical expenses that they pay each month that maybe Medicaid does not pay, Social Security can use that amount and deduct it from their work earnings. So let's say they pay $100 in out-of-pocket medical expenses between doctor visits and co-payments. You can use that as a deduction from the work earnings. And as it's calculated, you'll recoup 50%. If you're going to get an SSI payment, you'll recoup 50% of what you pay out of pocket through the SSI payment when you're using an impairment-related work expense. So, you know, if someone was to use that $100, they would get $50 back in SSI that they normally would not have. So before I go into SSDI, is there any questions? I'd like to pause and kind of do these separately before the information gets too confusing.
I do have a question for you. You said that if someone begins working, that they're not going to lose their benefits. They may lose the amount that the check is. Let's say that they are earning enough that they are not getting a check, maybe for 3 or 4 months. You said they're still going to be able to be on Medicaid, and that they're still eligible for SSI. So let's say that they lose their job after, you know, not receiving that Social Security income. They lose their job. Are they then, like, because they're reporting into the Social Security office, they will just, the next time that you know, you report in, now you have $0 coming in, and so that would
That's a great question.
start the process?
That's a great question. So I guess to rephrase the question is, basically, if I lose my job, what's going to happen? So yes, so you'll be reporting each month. When someone loses their job, yes, they can get their SSI back, because you're correct. They're still eligible in their system. There's typically a 2-month delay in this process. So, you know, 1 month's check will be affected by the earnings from 2 months prior. So when we tell people they're working, if that ever happened to you, you might want to plan ahead if someone's lost their SSI altogether, because they won't resume the full amount till 2 months after they've received that last paycheck in that last month. So yes, that's a really great question. They'll get it back, absolutely. Any other questions?
For the student earned income exclusion, the school status, what does that entail? Is it like VOTEC? Is it?
It can be VOTEC. It can be in a high school. Typically, it's as long as you're in a program that's enabling you to learn skills for a job, or in an educational program for at least 12.